Good, good. Grand Rising, everybody. I'm on a trip up for a hike, and I was just musing a little bit, and I came up with something interesting I wanted to say. All right. So when we're talking about the realms and the dimensions, which are kind of different things, but they have similar mechanical principles that operate the same. So if you take a realm or a dimension and you imagine it as a bubble, now that bubble's relationship to the next corresponding space has the overlap, which is a three-dimensional, because we're talking about spheres, it's a three-dimensional Vesica Pisces, right? So it's this different looking kind of thing, based on the Vesica Pisces shape, which, it's effectively going to be a kind of seed type of shape. It's going to have perfect symmetry, because we're talking about the tree of life here, right? We're talking about the 3D model of the tree. It's me explaining the 3D model of the tree of life in correspondence to people talking about metaphysics, talking about the densities and the dimensions, right? Because we kind of don't really talk enough about that Vesica Pisces aspect of it, right? Because the reason why everybody's just like the fifth dimension and there's no talk of the fourth is because the fourth is the latent space that you get to the fifth body, right? And this is where the Vesica Pisces comes into play. Vesica Pisces is this puncture where it's a null space trying to have the admixture of both realms and thus has a medium quality of both. And so when you draw the circle of the magician as a portal instead of a protection spell, you are opening up your energy field into crossing over into the fourth dimension, which is the latent space, to how you're hopping over to the fifth dimension. This latent space is also how you would jump from realm to realm. Hang on a moment. All right. So you would have your little in-between places, right? Think of all the little latent space portals that exist in like Harry Potter, where like you're still in like the real world, but it's a little magical corner of the real world. That's what it's like for realm hopping. That's not dimension hopping, right? Harry Potter is one good example of realm hopping instead of dimension hopping. Where dimension hopping is where like you're up, you're now on another plane of existence where physics works different and magic works different, right? Because people that want to go to the fifth dimension, they're working on all these clues and whatnot, right? It's just like I'm with a book club of some of my friends locally, and so they want to read Howdy Mikowski, right? Very, very interesting ideas that he puts forth. I hear that people know him in the group, so because he has a social media presence. And so I certainly have a lot of disagreements with his Exit the Cave book that we're reading right now, right? There's various reasons for that, which I believe is, just to be honest with how much research I've done, are fairly true and correct assessments of the 9 realms, and maybe there's more than 12 or 13 dimensions, but we'll say 12 or 13 dimensions that are at play here, and what they are, because the way they are presented is I don't know. I've seen a lot of madness in people's thinking from it, right? Having grown up trying to truly extract the gnosis out of New Age, which was, the only well you had to fucking tap to get past basic traditional, right? Because I am not basic traditional shaman. I'm the kind of fucking shaman that is gonna citate crossover mythos, as well as history more ancient than our ancestors had been calling the gods by the names that we call them now. Or deistic relationship. Deistic relationship was a completely different animal before the time of the cataclysm, or the arrival of the Anuna, which created the new manner in which religion became the discipline for having any acceptable relationship with God as a society. And there was, as we kind of think, there was more magic in the world. Why do I feel like everybody's driving like weird today? It's just me? Am I the only one? Anyway, so yeah, it's a certain kind of it's a certain kind of pulling back into a memory so far ago that it almost seems like you're tapping into the future. Only because our misunderstanding of what the future means. To us, time, I think, has been put into the construct of the perspective of man's development versus the world's state of decay. And I think that in our heads, because of the way progress into the future or reversion into the past work, they're always working with those laws of thermodynamics on some level, where, like, okay, here's a building or a tree, right? Watch the tree grow or fall and rot. Watch the building fall apart or get renovated, right? And of course, if the building's getting renovated, that doesn't happen in nature. That's us in our intervention. Us in our creature habits of wanting to make forms that we don't see in nature to make things interesting, or as a consequence of developing tools and conveniences, so that we don't have to live like animals, because our minds can conceive of wanting to live unlike anyone else. That's something that mankind's got like a big thing about. It's just like, not just individuality, but isolationality, right? Like, a lot of animals don't, like, I willingly want to be the isolated one. It's like, no, usually that animal gets fucking kicked out, right? You know, like tribal conflicts among apes and shit, right? That shit happens, and then some ape becomes a social outcast or something. Yeah, but never is it, you know, the horse one day says, I no longer wish to run with the herd, right? It doesn't happen as simple as that, right? When you see the out of the ordinary loner or in with the wrong species kind of meme joke, right? When that happens in real life, it's not necessarily the process that you were laughing about in your head, because you're trying to deal with something very human, and you're learning a lesson about what is and isn't human from animal behavior that is in the uncanny valley of making you ask the question, does it have a soul like mine, right? How close to my soul is their soul? And that's the deep question that you're asking. So there's this bit about, like, mankind's relationship with the entropic nature of things, but it dismisses the growth factor almost. It puts more emphasis with their laws of thermodynamics, it would seem, on the destruction side of the influence of the physics than the creation side. Mankind's got a problem where they don't see mankind's mainstream science. They don't see the bulk load, the vast majority of the generative factor happening in the world. And that's because their generative factor is happening so imperceptibly slow that they are trying to grift the government for money because they need a more expensive thing to observe it, when we already have sufficient telescopes that didn't cost anybody an extra dime. It still cost a dime. I'm just saying that it wasn't absurdly outside of your rational idea of basic research expenses, this kind of thing. Let's see what we got here. I'm going to be getting off soon because I have to double check my GPS because I've only been here once before. But how we going? We got people okay. We got Gareth Friend, looks like a troll dude. Haha. Yeah. Yeah, like Fin Trolls, I'll take it. I'm auditioning for Fin Trolls. Hey, Stein is here. Jordan, what's up? What is he talking about? Right. I was talking about what the fourth dimension is, which is your bypassing point between the realms and the fifth dimension, etc. Okay, there we go. Don't swerve, you dumbass. All right. Okay, the future doesn't exist, only you, eternal now. Right, Stein. The existence of the uncanny valley means that once upon a time there were beings who looked human but were not human. Hey, Susie Q. And, the uncanny valley, which I think because we are in denial of other hominid species that we spent significant amounts of times with because they came from either spontaneous generation or alchemical tampering of their genetics, which is, like, for instance, the best example that we have is the conversation about Neanderthal and Cro-Magnon. The truth is that the Cro-Magnon were kind of like the I think they were called the Dunedain warriors, or the Dunedain men in Lord of the Rings. What Aragorn is. Homie lives like 1,000 years. He's pseudo elfish, right? because of an incredible lifespan he has given himself. Okay? So yeah, that's Aragorn. Cro-Magnon. That's Cro-Magnon. Highly intelligent human. For some reason, did not have enough population or resources, or I don't know what happened. Just like, I guess you can be really intelligent and have very poor wisdom still, right? And they couldn't survive being destroyed by the Neanderthals, because the Neanderthals ate all the crow. They ate them. They fed upon them. And, you know, they were effectively cannibals, because all hominids shouldn't be eating other hominids, right? That's not in the cards, because we're omnivores, particularly, right? Otherwise, I just think we have too much of a mental channel to each other for it to work. So yeah, so then when Cro-Magnon was dwindling, they started to feed on man, and mankind figured it out. Plus, mankind had some species that were so interbred and were surviving generations, right? So, you know, that's why everybody allegedly has at least a 16th or something. They have some fragment of Neanderthal in them, right? I guess we all do, or that small fragment is maybe in a large majority of the population, something like that. I don't know. I've never been tested for it, to my awareness. And if I've never been tested for it, it means that those trying to control our so-called genetics don't know how to script me, like they did for everybody else they had manipulated in 2020, who already had registered themselves on various genetic databases. So, you know, of course everybody was cool with getting a freaking thing shoved up their nose. They'd been letting people scrape cells of skin off their body, you know, for like a decade at that point, at least, on the open market as a thing. Towards results, like the results, the analysis of the results of your blood tests that they give you back are akin to getting the truth according to ChatGPT. It's not very conclusive. I'm doing a better job tracking the etymology of my family name and figuring out who the fuck I am via my ancestors than anybody that ever fucking gave a goddamn fucking blood sample to anybody. I can play with my own fucking blood through my soul, thank you. This is part and parcel of what I was talking about with my Guardians of the Galaxy 3 breakdown with the Branch and King of Cups. It's a kick-ass video on that film, because there was so much esoteric gravy right in front of you. I was shocked that they went for such a direct premise on such an important topic in the metaphysical discussions that are akin to what I do believe is happening, at least in the etheric. All right, so because certain beings do not have a genetic disposition for this realm, whether it be a planet or just a realm. They do not have a genetic disposition for it. They need to have an integrated sample of your DNA. They can't just take your DNA and like code it and replicate it. They need an actual piece that integrates into the host being, so that way you can step through a Stargate and manifest here and be here, and then that's how you get your Stargate moves. That's the code. The code is a genetic code. Hey, what's up, Jenny? Yeah, very sketchy, very much so. So anyway, so soul code genetics, like I said, the permeable membranes of the fourth dimension that get us to the fifth dimension, or that get us into that latent space for magic and jumping realms. Realms are different than dimensions. And that's basically the thing I wanted to say. And so you see this structure in a three-dimensional flower of life, and the flower of life and the tree of life are the same fucking thing. It's a microcosm, macrocosm perspective. You know, because everybody knows that the tree of life must have flowers and a blooming season. Anyway, I will catch you guys later. Thanks so much for tuning in. You know, it's very rad that I'm starting to get attention on these daytime rando live streams. That's very cool. It makes me think a little bit, if this stays consistent, about my mindset going into the live stream. You know, I may want to change things a lot because of how much I'm going to be thinking about, hey, I have to be able to read that and react to people and congratulate friends on things and mention important tidbits of information, not misread something and fly off the handle for no fucking reason, which doesn't happen very, 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 very much. Anyway, I will catch you guys later.